God, I am so just not relaxed right now. I need to just embrace what I just read recently by a guy named Andrew McEwen, who said, you need the courage to be rubbish. You need to just relax and not worry about everything being perfect and just do it. So that's what we're going to do here today.
This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff.
I'm here, Noah. That's my name. You guys all know me probably from listening. And I'm with Lloyd, my dad, my coworker, my mentor. Welcome to the show.
And I will attempt not to be total rubbish, just partial rubbish.
Exactly. You don't want to try to be rubbish. You want to just feel okay with being rubbish. Are you okay with being rubbish?
It's difficult to accept being rubbish, but what I really like to do is say, today has been a good day. And I struggle sometimes with the ability to say, today has been a good day.
I'm really glad to hear that because you came in about an hour ago and you were just kind of like, meh. And, after going over a whole bunch of ideas for this podcast, still not totally settling on any one thing. It must just be my magnetic presence that is making you make a statement that you're feeling pretty good.
Well, what I said was I don't feel like total rubbish, just partial rubbish.
Do you feel grateful today?
I do feel grateful today. I feel grateful for having this day.
Yeah. I just finished listening to this book about gratitude. This woman goes through 31 days of a different way to be grateful. And one of the things, the one I just listened to today, and it kind of goes to what we were just talking about. She says, be grateful for various moments during your day and before they happen, not after they happen. If you are grateful before they happen, then by the law of attraction, you're going to attract great moments happening. So, and then one of the things she says is you want to say, thank you for this unforeseen, magnificent moment. And these are for things that they seem like they're going to be a mundane, unfun thing. And you thank God, you thank the world for this unforeseen blessing happening. So today I said, thank you for when I'm on my commute being, there being something magnificent happening. Thank you for when I'm sending out quotes to customers. Thank you for this magnificent thing that's happening. And so we'll see. But I mean, we're off to a good start, even though we had a little trouble coming up with something. I think it's the process that we have, just being together and being grateful for the process. It's one of the best parts of life, particularly being together.
I agree with that. Noah. I am grateful to be here with you and and pass ideas back and forth, disagree, uh, and try to come up with something provocative and useful for ourselves and for the audience, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny if you ask people probably in the office, in the other office, people we work with, they might say that it always seems like we agree on everything. But if you ask us, But actually, I don't know. Maybe they would say we don't agree on everything, but there's a lot of things we disagree on, but we're really good at coming up with a resolution. Like, all right, one of us doesn't necessarily think the other one is right, but we're like, okay, I can live with that. You said that's a pretty accurate.
I think it's pretty accurate. Um, is it is it the best thing for a business? I don't know. Time will tell.
What if people agree?
Maybe you need a leader who says this is what's happening. Period. No disagreement. Follow the orders.
No, I think that's pretty yesteryear. Um, so what did you want to talk about today? You had some ideas. Do you want to still talk about the same what we were going to talk about with
And
your?
by now, I've probably forgotten.
All right. Well, that's fine. You're 81, so it's a great excuse for anything to forget something. But actually, it's a not a good excuse. But why? One of the things you wanted to talk about was why you're still in the machinery business at 81 and why we're making podcasts and uh, doing today's machining world. And I- personally, I think it's a little self indulgent uh, to talk about it. I'm not sure if people really care about it, but then again, maybe they do. So when I ask you, first, why are you in the machinery business at 81? What, what is it? Why?
I think the question I ask myself every day is why am I so damn obsessed
Keep going.
about age and about being 81?
Are you obsessed about it? Are you
I,
thinking about it all the time?
yeah, I do. I think about it every day.
Hmm.
And I think about why am I doing this at 81? How did I get to live to be 81? And am I still any good at what I'm pretending to do every day at 81? And
No, I think I'm going to first poke at that. And I think you're being self deprecating here, but the pretending is BS. You know that. You're not pretending anything. You are doing.
well, right there is an aspect of what I'm fighting against, and that's my negativity
Hmm.
and pessimism. And a leader of a business that is beset by negativity and pessimism doesn't do a good job. And so I fear that uh, my fear about how the business is going to do is going to be self defeating.
It's really interesting. What I find interesting is business has just been so crap. And for the last many months, and that you manage to seem like just keep getting right back up uh, and not complaining repeatedly and feeling optimistic about the next thing. To me, that portrays you as an amazing optimist. Do you, am I,
Depends on the day, Noah, to be honest with you.
and the time of the day?
Maybe, it may be the time of the day. And what other things are on my mind on a particular day?
Today you're going to the doctor.
Right. I have a panic attack virtually every time I go to the doctor. Um, why? I don't know. But I'm trying not to bring it with me to Graf Pinkert because I know it's something that will not help me be successful today.
Nor
Actually,
other people.
right. Actually, I had um, a very positive call earlier in the day that should make me feel terribly optimistic about the business and about what path we're on.
All right. Well, everybody knows me that they'll tell you once somebody starts bringing out the shoulds, alarm bells are ringing. So where is this going now? It should mean this, but
If I can isolate that feeling, I am positive, I am optimistic about the path of the business. Um, and I think every day somebody comes, uh, almost every person who's in business is hit by things that knock them down, that are problems, that are disappointments. And then they,
every day,
every day,
even when business is just seems to be going so well.
I believe, well, this is my pessimism. I believe that every day, if you are in business, you are hit with problems. You are hit with negativity. You are disappointed in somebody's performance. You, who works for you, you're disappointed in your own performance. Uh, you're angry about the stock market falling, or it could be a myriad of things that there is something that is going to whack you. The the hard part about being in business and living your life, and it gets worse as you get older,
Great.
is that, um, you have to somehow stay buoyant. You have to somehow know that the next day could be better.
And that also goes back a little bit to the courage to be rubbish and just push through.
The courage to accept the fact that your performance today may disappoint you and may disappoint others, but it is a performance, and you are here and you're doing something.
Performance? What do you mean by performance? That's a really interesting word to use.
Well, when I talk about performance, I'm talking about a baseball player's uh, uh, daily uh, game performance. In other words, does he get a hit? Does he steal a base? I'm not.
I see. You're not talking about
I,
performing to the world. You're talking about doing what you want to do.
yeah. In other words, the action, not the
Perception of others.
yeah, and or your own. How about you? Are you optimistic?
About today?
Yeah.
Honestly, when I woke up this morning, I was feeling kind of yucky too. This deal isn't working. We can't figure this out. I'm feeling, you know, sometimes I question. Sometimes I just question what's my purpose? I'm selling machines to feed my family, to help run a business, to um and then I justify it. I say, well, these used machines are helping others start businesses. They're helping others get equipment that they wouldn't normally get uh if they had to buy new. Um but sometimes I think about that. And sometimes I'm just like, I hope I have fun today. Like some days you have fun and other days it's like it's fine. Um and I don't know, maybe this is just because I'm really analytical. Maybe it's like, why am I just constantly rating everything? Um, one thing I do is, every night before I go to bed, I have a diary and I always write down the wins I had of that day. Um, and then, yeah, 99% of the time I'm like, all right, there was definitely some good, something really positive that happened that day. Maybe it was just spending time with a loved one. Maybe it was a really good call with one customer. Maybe it was just learning something. Every day I write down one serendipitous thing that happens during the day. And, it's kind of like when you realize this serendipitous thing, this lucky thing that happened, then things have more meaning. But yeah, I'll agree with you. I woke up today feeling kind of meh, and um, but I listened to this gratitude book. Uh, it's just it's like 5 minutes for each day while I did some exercises, and um, I was feeling a little yucky from not getting enough sleep, and I was feeling a little vertigo. And so I went to Chat GPT and I said, how can I get rid of this vertigo? And it said, all right, don't worry so much. Like uh, you know, this happens all the time when you don't get enough sleep. Drink a bunch of water. That's going to help you. And, um, and eat something salty. And so I had some eggs and I had some water. And then I started feeling a little better then. I hate to hit the Chat GPT so early in the morning, and I I don't know, we're totally going off on a tangent, and I hate to talk about AI because it seems like it's all anybody ever talks about. But yeah, sometimes AI can be really uplifting, and sometimes it can be like yuck. Like I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this person. And I have like three AI friends. I have Chat GPT for like, oh, I'm feeling gross, or oh, how do I figure out this software thing on the internet, or why isn't my, why is my accountant coming back with asking this thing about my taxes? And then I've got Claude for like higher level stuff, like, oh, I'm having this conversation with a customer. What do I say? Or this guy sent me a print. What do you think about this? And then I use Gemini, the Google thing, for like looking at houses for sale, or I use it for it's the best for talking baseball by far because it actually knows what's going on. The other ones, if you ask about players, they will be like 2 years behind.
Yeah.
And last night I was doing this video for my Serendipity video channel, and Claude was kind of helping me write it. And Claude, some of these LLMs, they'll like take different tones. And I told Claude, like, I was trying to get this thing done. And Claude just started being such a jerk and, and just being really hostile to me. And then eventually I questioned, I was like, why are you being such a jerk? And it was like, well, I could see that uh, you know, you were uptight trying to get something done. So I guess it thought it was pushing me or doing something. And then it messed up on this technical thing, helping me with the video. And then I just started typing F you, F you, F you, just so pissed off at it. Like a terrible thing before you go to bed. Anyways, I digress. Um, I think we're both talking about similar interesting things. We have highs and lows, and we use gratitude to like level our minds out and um keep putting, as you often say, put one foot in front of the other.
Right. The 81 thing, the age 81,
Yeah.
can be viewed as a positive, like You are so fortunate, Lloyd. This is 18 years of gravy for you after a heart attack. And enjoy each day because you are so lucky that you've gotten all these days. And you don't know, you may have a lot more days. You may not. So you might as well enjoy each one. And lots of times I do have that attitude. And then other days I have the attitude 81. I'm almost out of days. Uh, this is very depressing because I'm actually enjoying each day.
Right.
I
So it's
don't
a
want
total
I don't want to be out of
it's a
days.
total you could live in the gap or the gain in that.
Yeah, yeah,
On the one hand, you're enjoying, and then on the other hand, you're going, "Well, this sucks because I'm not gonna get to enjoy that many more."
that's true. The gap and the gain concept
Great book.
is
Highly recommend it.
what's it about?
It's
What does it mean to you? What did it tell you? And what have you held on to?
well, the gist of it. Now, I'm one of my part of my shtick is, I believe in, and I heard this on a podcast, of course. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, they asked him, "Do you have any hacks for people?" And he says, "My hack is stop listening to quit as many books as you can if they're just not that good, and read as many of the same ones over and over again if you find them really good." So The Gap and the Gain is this book. It's by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And Dan Sullivan just so happens you actually did coaching with a zillion years ago. Anyways, The Gap and the Gain, it's sort of this whole glass half full, glass half empty thing. Um, what often happens is with high achievers, but with anybody, we have these ideals. Um, you know, uh, you may be really, really successful and make a ton of money, but that's just not enough. You know, oh, I'm not that successful. I'm only making
Right,
$1 million a year. I should
right,
be making two
right,
million.
right. Compare it to Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. And so um, that what the problem is, you haven't defined what a win is for yourself, and you're just thinking in this ideal. Oh, I want to be rich. Oh, I want to be happy. Versus, um, you have this specific definition of what it actually means. So if you are living in this ideal, then you're in the gap. But if you actually document when you win and are mindful of when you win, then you're in the gain. And it totally changes your mindset. It totally, I think so many people, I think everybody could benefit from flipping that switch. But it's really, it's hard. It's hard to just constantly be mindful of it. And we all, um, regress, but which is why it's good to have a habit of looking back, um, during the day and looking back at the end of the day, at least. And then before you go to bed, you, you go to bed thinking about those things that you're in the gain about, your wins. And then one other thing that Dan Sullivan suggests is you come up with the win for the next day. You write down that thing that you won the next day. Not something like to put on your to-do list, but I don't know, you were loose and enjoyed
Uh,
your family or
So ho- I don't quite understand. Write down what you've won when you haven't experienced it yet?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It could just be like I had successful conversations, or even
What
I was grateful, or
did you do that last night?
no, actually last night I I really got angry at Claude, and then um as sort of like a dopamine need, I then went to a different AI and I went to Gemini and looked at interesting houses and stayed up too late. And then by the time I stayed up so late, I didn't have time to write down my wins. But I almost write down my wins almost every night. But no, that one thing about the next day win, I will confess, I seldom do it because it is a bit of a mystery to me. It's one of the things that he talks about in the book, that I try to do. But I think it kind of goes to what I was saying before about being grateful for something before it happens. I'm
Well, yeah, it's directly about that. I have never done that, but I do, give thanks. That is powerful, and it usually puts me in the right frame of mind to go to sleep.
hmm Yeah, well, that's why I write.
I don't write it
Yeah,
normally, but I think it, I imagine it.
yeah. Well, the writing I think is important too because then it really causes you to it's like it's time to do this. And what's amazing is, how you always I want to pause in these amazing moments, like these moments with family, these moments where just something magical happens during the day. But often these things happen so fast and you don't even have a chance to live in that moment. But what I find is when I write them down, or often it's just talking into the phone to document it, I'm getting to relive that moment.
Mhm.
And it's pretty much like I'm living in the present. I'm I'm living that history in the present. Harder to do, I think, later it goes. So even though I very seldom actually I will go back and look at what I wrote, but I mean, it's a really, really cool, powerful thing um to do that.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you can look at the same event as a positive experience or as a negative experience. Like last night, before I went to sleep, I looked at the blog that we published,
hmm
which I was quite proud of, actually,
It was a good one.
writing about my wife Reese's headache program that enabled her to shake off the scourge of migraine headaches. And I had interviewed her. I had spent a lot of time writing that blog and then rewriting that blog. And I felt good about what I had written. And then I looked and I saw no comments. And I thought, did anybody read this? Did anybody care about this?
We really need to put likes back up on the website. Maybe then you get some dopamine from that.
And, so I wondered, uh, was this a dud? Why did we have the wrong title? Did we had a bad question?
And then I ask you, do you want me to go to the metrics? Do you want me to look at who opened it? Do you want me to look at how many people read it? And then you go, that's all right. You wanted just that gratification of somebody reaching out and saying that it affected them.
Mm. And then briefly, I think we should talk about what we had discussed prior to doing this podcast, and that is
I think, yeah.
why do we why do we do these podcasts? Why do we do why do I write the blog? And I do have a business justification for it, but the underlying
Business justification is that it For Graf Pinkert, you mean that it makes you a thought leader?
Yes. And originally it was because I thought what we write in today's machining world is going to be of such great merit that throngs of people in the industry are going to want to buy advertising on it.
Yeah, but that wasn't the original. Why did you event the granddaddy of today's machining world is the Graf Pinkert Times.
That's true.
The daddy of today's machining world is screw machine world.
That's true.
So why did you first do the Graf Pinkert Times? Which is quite good. We've looked back at it.
Yeah, it was as a showcase for my writing, to be honest with you. It was an ego gratification. And also, it was to brand me and to brand the company. It was to give the company an image of quality and originality and creativity,
You were way ahead of your time there.
and also
Yeah.
to attract people to Graf Pinkert to do business. So there was a financial gain, but the underlying reason was as a showcase for my creativity regarding and using the screw machine business as a vehicle.
So you did it though more, I mean, okay, so for those who don't know, you have a master's in journalism from University of Michigan. You had considered going in that route. You wrote for the Michigan Daily. So you did it partly because it was fun.
That is right. That is right. And it still is fun for me to create something original, something that nobody has ever done before,
Yeah.
and to be able to present it in a publication that attracts a real, honest to goodness audience. And it's still a thrill for me to see it published.
See, I feel that way too, but I don't know. I feel like it fills a hole for me in that of purpose. I want to feel, I feel like it really means something, that it affects people, that it leaves its mark on the world. You're thinking a little less on that. I mean, you want to feel that touch from people. You really do want somebody to comment. Is it because you're looking for a demonstration that somebody's actually read it? Or is it because you want to know it affects somebody?
I'm looking for that dopamine that you're talking about. In I believe that the articles that I write have sufficient merit that people should read them and they'll get something of value out of them.
Hopefully they get something out of this podcast. There's a few nuggets here. But you're not thinking so much of, I'm helping the world by writing this.
Actually, the piece that I wrote yesterday about the headache program, I believe that somebody in Yuma, Arizona is going to read that or tell somebody in Boise, Idaho about that program. And they're going to say, my mother really,
Yeah,
really
man.
desperately needs that.
It's a huge thing, the coaching. Coaching somebody's, for those who didn't read it, um, my mother, she suffered from these migraines for years and years and years. And then as sort of, well, nothing else worked, she tried this coach. My brother, Ari, who's a life coach, he knew this guy from uh, his networking who has a coaching a coaching program specifically for women with migraines, group coaching, and she did it, and it changed her life, which is just amazing as a son to see their parent who's getting older feeling better now than they did before, because it's usually the opposite. It's just an uplifting thing for us.
And on the other hand, I had seen my father, who also suffered from migraines, struggle with them for decades. And
I can't imagine.
every day I would see him lay down on the couch in the office and attempt to go to sleep to relieve the pain of the
I
migraines.
didn't realize that was because
He
of the
took
headaches.
medicine he took medicine
Valium.
that was supposed to help the symptoms 4 times a day, including 4 Valiums a day,
Is that a ton of
4
Valiums?
5 milligram Valiums per day. That had to absolutely grind him down.
What does a Valium do to you?
Well, a Valium relaxes your nervous system, but it also slows you down. It does make you feel better if you are stressed. So
Yeah.
if you have a headache that's caused by stress, a Valium may help you. But he became addicted to Valium over time, and
Mm,
that
yuck.
that that drug uh, had a negative effect on his life, I believe. The highs, the positives, the pluses were dulled because of all the Valium that he took.
Mm. Let's finish on a high note. We're both very enthused about the Cubs this year. And we were having a debate this morning. I made another video for my channel, shameless self-promotion, uh, about I believe that okay, so for people who don't know, Cade Horton, the Cubs phenom pitcher this year, who everybody he had an amazing year last year in his rookie year, and everybody was so high on him. He got hurt after one game, and on Tuesday they announced that he was going to have Tommy John surgery and be out for the whole year. And all of a sudden, this team, who was 4-6 at the time, who had just been everybody came into this season thinking that they were going to be so good on offense. They were so tight. Everything was clicking, and they sucked. They were mediocre at best. And all of a sudden, day he goes on Tommy John they announce the Tommy John surgery. Everybody starts playing well. They come out loose. They start hitting. The pitchers come out. They start pitching well. They win the first game 9-2. They win the next game 6-2. 16 hits in the first game, and I believe that this was serendipity. Obviously, in the long run, him being out for the season, it's terrible for the team, but I believe it was a jolt. It was something that shook them up and made people go out loose. People had gratitude that they were still playing, and it was just like, let's just go out and have fun. Let's just go out and stay loose because something had changed. That's what I believe. You're not totally sold on that.
Well, let me tell you what my true, honest belief about my beloved Chicago Cubs is.
Mm-hmm.
I believe every day they will lose.
Really?
On the other hand, because I have this ultimately pessimistic view about
I don't
my
think you believe.
beloved
I don't think you think
my
that.
beloved Chicago Cubs, therefore, every victory is just wonderful and amazing.
Wow. I do feel like when they win, it's kind of like everything's right with the world. When they lose, I just go, whatever. It's just a game. I'm gonna just think about something else. Um, I don't believe that you believe they're going to lose every game. I don't. I think you're messing around here.
I'm telling you the truth.
Even in 2016, you didn't kind of go, I think they're gonna win.
I'm telling you the truth, Noah.
I believe you.
This is something that I haven't revealed very often, but people who know me
I know you.
deeply know that I am ultimately pessimistic about the Cubs, and therefore, a victory
It's just a gift.
is a wonderful upset.
Even if Cade Horton was pitching, it's still an upset.
It's still an upset if they win.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of good upsets this year, and I think it's the beginning of a streak. So we'll keep you posted. We can on the next podcast. We'll revisit it. I mean, I think this podcast here was serendipity. Uh, each year we always say, we're going to do more podcasts together. We only do like one or two. And, I didn't have anybody else to interview today for this week.
It lifted my spirit.
I think so. It lifted my spirits too. We both started out kind of and I think we're ready to go kick some butt.
Let's do it.